All right. Hi, everyone. Okay. It's been a while since I did a program on Sunday. So, well, happy Sunday. I was preparing to talk to you about Trump and Xi Jinping's phone call on Friday and then the Xiangshan Security Forum in Beijing and other topics. But I changed my mind last minute. I want to tell you about the biggest scandal rocking China right now. I worked until 1 o'clock this morning and got up at 6. So I hope it's worth your wait. Last Saturday, I said the death of two young men changed the course of the world's two biggest rivals, American conservative leader Charlie Kirk and then the Chinese actor Yu Menglong. Um, pictures. Okay. So now, since Yu's death, the authorities rushed to censor it. Within just 3 days, millions of posts were deleted, hundreds of accounts were banned, and some key suspects' online profile and traces were wiped out. Despite the censorship, Yu's death has garnered 80 billion views in China as of Friday. It could have reached 100 billion now, making it possibly the second most read about event on Chinese internet after the 2022 chained mother of eight expose. The actor died on September 11th, and his death has created what I call China's own 911 moment. The Chinese public finally are awakening to the truth that their government is nothing less than a terrorist organization. This case is so dark that it reads worse than a mafia movie. Sex, violence, money laundering, murder, corruption, and abuse of power. Mark my words, unlike the other cases of social injustice that we've seen, this one will change history. It may not be the single event that topples the CCP, but it will be the one that wakes the Chinese people, and there will be no turning back. At a political level, actor Yu's death won't just widen the bitter rift between ordinary citizens and privileged CCP elites. It will also become a weapon for anti-Xi forces to take down Xi Jinping and his followers. And that's why this moment matters. Okay, so let me first talk about who this man is. Well, Yu Menglong grew up in an ordinary family in Xinjiang and is a Uyghur descent. I believe that explains his Western-looking features. He is said to be raised by his single mother and is the only child. He became widely known for his role in 2 TV series. And he's said to be a good person who people say that he has offered help to a lady at the airport fixing the wheels of her suitcase. I mean, just people recognized him, and he also helped a friend twice give up suicidal thoughts. However, his good luck got him into troubles. First, a wealthy woman investor was interested in him, but he refused. He was thus sidelined from the industry for 3 years. And during that time, he went to, I think, the countryside or remote China to teach kids. And then from the very beginning of his career, he was harassed by influential men sexually. And he was defiant and tried to fight back. And this eventually led to his death. And the people who caused his demise are the very people he trusted, including his agent and friends. So let me give you the details. Okay, so September 11th, Beijing, Chaoyang district, in an upscale residential compound, Yu Menglong was at a party with over a dozen people he knew. To be exact, 17 people, including himself. By around 6 a.m., the party was over, and his body was discovered downstairs. Police rushed to declare drunken accident, no criminal suspicion. But netizens cried foul. because they said that this actor was disciplined, fit, a man with strong tolerance for alcohol, hardly someone to fall drunk from a window. And that window, barely, it's about a meter tall, right? So it's a waist level. And there's more. The window had a metal screen, harder to get through. And from the picture of the window that people took from outside, they saw carved scratch marks on the screens, which are signs of a struggle. So why would you claw at the window unless he was fighting for his life? And yet none of the party guests have spoken up, not one. And the police instead rushed the case to closure. Every leaked post and photos and videos were deleted, or was deleted. And then came the bombshell. A man calling himself Xiao Li, who was a temporary waiter working that night, told what he saw. He said he served drinks at the party. He said the actor wasn't drinking much at first, but his agent pressured him again and again. And at one point, the agent slipped a white powder from his pocket into Yu's glass. And he clinked glasses with him, forcing Yu to drink. The server, Xiao Li, tried to warn the actor, but he was dragged into the kitchen by a man in black. And the warning was chilling. Stay out of this if you don't want to die. Terrified, the server left his job early. He hid at a friend's house to avoid being followed. His video, of course, was later deleted and removed. Then another long post appeared, describing the party in detail. It said that gathering took place in the penthouse of Yu's longtime friend, a screenwriter. His name is Zhao. And the property's surveillance camera showed that the party lasted from 8:15 to 2:40 a.m., over 6 hours. But at 1:15 a.m., Yu's agent received a mysterious phone call. He looked nervous, then started forcing drinks on the actor. At 1:45, 30 minutes later, he got a second call, and he set out, almost done, just a little longer. 5 minutes later, at 1:50, the surveillance cameras caught Yu being dragged into the elevator by two men. He looked drunk. His face was pale, his body weak. He was barely able to speak. So this is when Yu's handlers moved him from the penthouse to another unit on the 5th floor, a rental unit. At 2 a.m., his agent got a third call, and when it ended, he told everyone to leave. Strangely, all three calls came from the same virtual number. That number has since been deactivated. As far as who it belonged to, no one knows. And the screenwriter owner of the penthouse apartment rushed to move out after people left. His neighbor recalled at 4 a.m., he said, I woke up to the sound of things being moved. I saw four men in black carrying cardboard boxes out of Zhao's apartment, not furniture, just boxes. And Zhao looked frantic, staring at his phone. Then he left in a black SUV with no license plates. Police later confirmed that this Zhao, the host of the party, is now missing. His phone has gone dark. So it was said, according to various internet posts, it was said that the actor was tortured and gang raped in the unit on the 5th floor, and he fell from the window and died. So this points to the man who called his agent 3 times. Who is he? It seems that he's the one who caused Mr. Yu's death. But he didn't act alone. He had his helpers at the party. Now, in any other country, The people at the party would be the first to face police questioning. But in China, every single guest has vanished. Not a word, no names disclosed. No investigations announced. The official cause of death, accidental falling from drunkenness. But nobody in China believes that. I should say most people do not believe that. So people quickly dug into the background of those at the party. They figured out who they are. So here are some of the names I found on the internet. Now, as far as the big shot who called, but they didn't know, but one man. But in the beginning, they didn't know who that was exactly. But all sources point to one possibility. That is, it is the illegit. I can't say the word. The illegitimate son of a top CCP leader. One insider put it bluntly: the killer who caused Yu Menglong's death has deep political backing. After the incident, powerful people gave direct orders: bury the case, make it disappear. So the source was clear, that the man behind it all, is at least vice state level or higher. Xi Jinping and his 7 Politburo Standing Committee members are at state level, right? That's the highest level. So the name most whispered came out, Cai Qi. Where is he? Currently Politburo Standing Committee member and Xi Jinping's number 2 guy in party affairs. And the man at the center of the case was allegedly the 33-year-old secret son of Cai. And he is apparently Cai's love child and raised by one of his loyalists. In China, when these big shots have secret children, they have their loyal lieutenants adopt them and raise them as their own. So that's how, Mao did that. They all do that. So, and this 33-year-old man is, his name is Xingqi. That's his pen name. It's not his real name. And so here's the Baidu page of this man. You would think that this man is harmless. I think this picture probably was taken from he was in his 20s, but talking about all the crimes associated with this guy, you will be surprised. So here's a picture. The photo on the right was actually taken on the day of Yu's death. So this Xingqi guy was made the owner of an energy company at age 22 and rose quickly to be an award-winning producer and movie critic. Now, in China, if you don't have political backing, that kind of career track is impossible. And he's reportedly either homosexual or bisexual. So why did he want to kill the actor? Whistleblowers say Yu Menglong had been targeted by the producer from the very start of his career. At first, Xingqi, the producer, simply wanted to force Yu into a relationship, but the actor was reluctant. But Xing harassed him and positioned himself as Yu's biggest fan and benefactor. In fact, Yu's very first fan club was controlled by the producer. So for years, the actor lived under Xingqi's harassment and control. Later, Yu discovered evidence of Xingqi's money laundering activities and saved it on a USB drive. And Xingqi eventually found out about it. Maybe the actor hoped to use that USB as leverage to free himself. Instead, it cost his life. That's when the party was set up. It's believed that Xingqi tried to torture Yu sexually and violently to force him to reveal where the USB was, but Yu didn't give in. The torture was captured on videos as they planned to use the compromising footage for blackmail later. Someone, we don't know how, leaked the blurry videos. You can be seen being beaten, and from his screams, it's clear that he was tortured with sharp objects. And from his broken words, we can piece together his despair. He said that he'd been harassed since the age 25, that he had lost all hope, and that only death could free him from being played to death. In the earliest leaked clips, you still shouted his defiance, swearing that he would never submit. But in later footage, he appeared barely alive, no strength left, no voice, perhaps unconscious or already dead. So the fall may have been nothing more than a staged ending. And it was arranged, right, by the perpetrators, making it look like an accident. And another source provided even more shocking details. It claimed that the actor had been held captive since September 8th or 9th, days before that party at the apartment. And that's when his torture began. His captors demanded him turn in the USB drive. The actor refused. He later allegedly swallowed it, because it's a thumbnail drive, it's tiny. Knowing the actor feared height, his captors hung him upside down outside the window, and he screamed. Neighbors confirmed they heard the screams, and they saw shadows in the window, figures moving. And Yu then allegedly fell accidentally, and he landed on the grass outside. The attackers took him to a private hospital. They cut him open, retrieved the USB drive from his stomach. After the surgery, they brought him back. They dressed him in new clothes and staged a second fall at the building's entrance. And that's the photo that everyone saw. And sharp-eyed netizens noticed something, in the photo, that beneath the blue shirt that you wore, a strip of white appeared, which looked like bandages. So you might think, how did they dare to carry out such atrocities in broad daylight? Aren't they afraid that people would find out? Well, there's another conversation that got leaked. It was between two security guards, or at least one security guard talking to a friend. And what they said was that the family owns the residential complexes and controls the company providing security to the buildings. And not just this security company, all of them in the area. And that explains why these people are so flagrantly atrocious. The overwhelming flood of rumors, despite differences in detail, all point to the 33-year-old producer Xin Qi, who is said to be the secret son of Cai Qi. Now, there's another person who is from Mr. Cai Shengkun, who is a US-based political commentator, who is quite a reliable source. And he obtained information from Beijing, suggesting that the producer is actually a relative of Xi Jinping. And his sources told him that only power from the very top could allow a young man rise to such prominence in the film industry so quickly at such a young age. Because he's only 33. This man is only 33, but he's been around in the movie industry for like over a decade. And this is not the first man or the first actor, a good-looking, handsome actor who died this way. There has been another case very similar to this 9 years ago. And it was said that in terms of the party attendance, I mean, it's very similar. It also happened at a party, and then the party attendance overlap. So that's why the public is outraged, right? So whether the man here is tied to Cai Qi or Xi Jinping, it's problematic for Xi Jinping. Now, Cai Qi, as the party's propaganda chief, is in a position to bury a story online. And people know that ministerial level officials alone could not cover this up. This, their power is not, their influence is not enough to cover a case like this. Only officials at the very top would have that kind of power. And no one would dare commit such brazen crimes without immense political backing. Of course, all of the above is based on many internet exposés and leaks. So I cannot say if it's true or not. It's because it's impossible to verify. But what is certain is that the case provides fertile ground for anti-Xi forces to use against him at the upcoming fourth plenum. The timing is particularly bad for Xi Jinping, given his weakening grip on power. And since the case broke, Cai Qi has shown unusual behavior. According to Xinhua News, on September 17th, he delivered a speech at a symposium marking the publication of Xi Jinping's book, one of his books called The Governance of China, Volume 5. And then Cai said the most important task in studying the book is to, quote, deeply grasp the decisive significance of the two establishes and to resolutely achieve the two safeguards. Now, these slogans, the two establishes and two safeguards, coined under Xi Jinping, are nothing more than political pledges of loyalty to Xi Jinping himself. Interestingly, they had disappeared from Cai's speeches for a while, and now they have just returned. And Cai even went further. He said, we must profoundly understand Xi Jinping's wise reflections on the grand logic and great trend of human social development. These remarks sparked uproar online. To many people, they were proof that Cai Qi's son is likely guilty of killing the actor. Because why would he suddenly, turned almost 180 degrees to be, grotesquely praising Xi Jinping, right? He must have felt the heat. So Cai is clinging to Xi, publicly reaffirming loyalty in the hope that Xi might protect him or shield him. But here's the question: can Xi Jinping still protect him? This case, in my opinion, could well become Xi Jinping's Waterloo, especially if anti-Xi forces now align with the public. And that's threatening because this has not happened yet. So far, the anti-Xi forces have been acting alone and the public has been acting alone. But if they converge, it could be a force that topple the regime. So, and right now, everything seems to be moving in that direction. Now, let me talk about the impact of this case. It has sent shockwaves not only through China, but also across Asia, especially in Hong Kong and Taiwan, or other countries where there's a large Chinese-speaking populations, like Singapore or Malaysia, because the entertainment industries are deeply connected because of the language, because they speak Mandarin. Stars and celebrities are shaken. If one of their own can be abused, assaulted, and murdered by the children of the powerful, what safety do they have in CCP China? For ordinary Chinese, the realization is even more devastating. They realize how dark and toxic the entertainment industry is. If a star can be tortured and murdered for pleasure without consequences, then their country is broken and its rulers are criminals. And there's no hope for them or for their children unless people do something now. Now, like I said, Yu was not the first male actor to die from this type of sexual abuse. Others before him that has happened to others, and there's a commonality. They all came from humble families. Well, authorities want this case to fade away, but it will not. People risked their lives to speak the truth. One director, his name is Wang Zhaoda, spoke up. He hinted that he had obtained critical information, but warned the public if he suddenly disappears, it means something has happened to him. Yu's mentor, a Taiwanese producer by the name of Sun Deren, said that the case has been covered up because someone at the top has intervened. He expressed deep guilt for failing to protect his former student and vowed to not only give Yu dignity in death, but also to dismantle the toxic rules of the industry. Meanwhile, the authorities unleashed massive censorship on Weibo, Douyin, which is China's TikTok, and Red Note. Comments demanding justice were deleted by the millions. You know what people do? The Chinese are smart. They flooded government's official social media accounts to have their voices heard. So like the Beijing Culture and Tourism Bureau's social media account saw 680,000 comments in just a few hours, all demanding justice. The official website of China's court received 230 comments demanding an investigation. All of them swiftly erased. So the authorities then shut down the comment section on their official accounts. But in the early hours of September 20th, something slipped. The comment section on China's national radios, China National Radio's Douyin account was somehow left open. And within hours, tens of thousands of people poured in. It was in the middle of the night. So by 4:30 a.m., over 4,500 comments appeared, almost all demanding a criminal investigation into the actor's death. Protests even have spilled into e-commerce platforms where people post messages or hidden messages of courage after making a purchase, right? Because you can't really leave comments, if you don't buy. So people have intentionally keep buying items so they can leave messages. And people say their intention is very clear. They refuse to be silenced. Their goal is to keep talking about it until they see justice. And this is also why I changed my mind and switched topics at the last minute. Sources inside China say that if we keep international attention on this case, the leadership will not be able to withstand the pressure. They're already under tremendous pressure from all sides. So the word that got leaked out is that keep talking about it, especially have foreign press reporting on this case. And so far, the X, Elon Musk's X, has become the main platform where updates and leaks about the case surface. Now, his death has awakened China. People now see the truth. The regime that allows its elites to rape, kill, and cover up with impunity is nothing more than a criminal enterprise. I want to play you a video. This is the sky of Beijing a few days after the actor died. It looks very, very scary, right? Clouds twisted into strange shapes, and it's covered up the sky. And many people said it was heaven's wrath. It does not look normal. And look at this. It's just crazy. And at one point, the clouds was like all eyes. I don't have Chris, we don't have this clip. I saw one picture where all the clouds, you look up into the sky, you see like countless eyes looking down. It's just very, very spooky.
它今天的云，今天北京的云是这样的，一层一层的。
This man said, "This is the sky."
见过这种云，也不知道是什么意思。
That man said, "This is the clouds over in Beijing sky." I don't know what it meant. That's what he said. Yeah. So yeah, at one point the clouds look like eyes. They're like many, many eyes. I don't know if, no, this is not one. There's a better picture, but we don't have it here. It's like, it's almost like their eyes looking down on us. Very, very scary. So, and insiders say Yu's family is still drowning in grief, especially his mother. And when she got the call about her son's death, this woman who's in her 70s collapsed on the spot. And when she regained consciousness, she broke down completely. And her emotions remain unstable to this day. Her only child gone without explanation. And what tortures her most is not just that he died, but what he went through before his death. Now you understand why I say the parents with beautiful children in China don't feel blessed. I have said that for a while. Now you know what I mean. One netizen put it best. He said, "No beauty or goodness can survive in China. They will be crushed. And in a system that feeds on goodness, it is a system that feeds on goodness and spits out evil." And another one said, "Hell lies empty. Its demons walk among us." And in Chinese is 地狱空荡荡，魔鬼在人间. Now, if you really think about it, these criminals are the ones decorated with titles, polished in appearance, educated, and even outwardly successful. Some travel to the West from time to time. And you see them here, and may even have interacted with them. They are the privileged Chinese who grew up in CCP's kingdom with a warped mindset. But can you tell? You cannot. Now, why do you think, I want to show you this picture. Okay, remember this young woman at Oberlin College who gave a speech online openly promoting political assassination? I think her last name is Xu, Julia Xu. I mean, she apologized. Her school, and they made her issue an apology. But if you really think about it, oh, what happened? Oh, where's the picture? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you can, if you haven't not heard about her, you could search her online. I mean, her video was everywhere on social media. And this woman basically said that at a class in her college, the professor asked the students what they think of Charlie Kirk's assassination, and she said nobody spoke up, but she did. And she advocated the return of political assassination by quoting Mao Zedong. What Mao Zedong said is this: it's like, of course we support freedom of speech, but we think those who oppose us, the 反动派, the counter-revolutionaries, they're not allowed to speak up. And this woman believing Mao. And so anyways, now if you think about it, did she lose her mind? No, I do not think so. I think it's the same CCP mentality behind the murder of actor Yu Menglong. It's the cause is the same. Because this woman, okay, that's how she was brought up. That's how the Chinese are educated and brought up in China. They think sacrificing their other people's well-being or even life to prove their point is justified. Many Chinese have this mentality. I mean, just to different degrees, including some of my friends. They think it's okay to sacrifice other people, their life or well-being, to better themselves is okay. So China is producing such young people on a massive scale and sending them everywhere. That is what truly worries me. I do not fear the CCP's hardware, such as its weapons. I mean, they're second rate or crappy, right? But what I fear is the mass intoxication of the mind. And the West has allowed the CCP to infiltrate and poison our children in the name of pluralism. And that must stop. Trade wars and tariffs are not enough. The world needs a better solution. So what must be done? I thought about this. I was sleepless last night. I went to sleep at 1 o'clock and really troubled. I think the CCP regime must end. Its very existence brings only suffering and misery, not just in China, but here too. Western governments must abandon the illusion that they can outsmart Beijing. Their greatest weakness, the greatest weakness of our government in the West, is complacency. Western civilization and democracy, or mode of government, have dominated the world stage for the past 100 years, if not more. But people here have grown too complacent. They look down on the CCP, yet hesitate to act. Trump may be leading the way in countering the regime, but even he can do better. My message is clear. You do not have the time or the resources to endlessly clean up the CCP's mess everywhere. If you don't act fast, it will bring down the world, right? So our governments should focus on the source of the problem, not just the aftermath. But so far, everything they've done is to clean up the aftermath. But that will exhaust ourselves. And I think the second solution is the Chinese people must undergo a period of reflection. They need to reflect amongst themselves to think what has gone wrong. Some of the most outspoken Chinese dissidents, or some of the best mind in the dissident communities outside China, said that the Chinese are worthy of this misery because they do not reflect. They suffer, they paid a price, they paid a dear price, but they are the ones, the Chinese people have allowed it to happen to them. I try not to blame the Chinese people. I think when you don't know what you don't know, then it's very difficult for you to tell what has really gone wrong. But I think that the country or people, or particularly the ones who have access to outside information, they must undergo a period of reflection. They need to ask themselves what has gone wrong, and they need to rediscover Confucius, Lao Tzu, and faith. So they need to relearn how to be a Chinese again. And this is an arduous effort. Every Chinese needs to reflect on who they want to be. They need to choose for themselves. And I think the same lesson applies to the West, or in America. Each one of us must ask the same question. How do we allow the world to become what it is today? Is there anything we did wrong collectively? Have I unwillingly accepted brainwashing forced upon me? I mean, more or less, we've all accepted these communist ideology, but we need to ask ourselves, how do we allow that to happen? And we should not waste energy blaming others or condemning those with different political views. I believe changes begin with ourselves. So Because if without that, and if we keep just blaming those with different ideas, it's not going to bring peace, right? The strongest human beings are those who can self-reflect and correct their course. Self-reflection is the true wisdom of 5,000 years of Chinese civilization, and is the secret to longevity. If you think about it, whether it's for individuals or political systems, the ability to self-correct ensures survival and longevity, both physically and mentally. So there's so many people pursuing longevity, whether it's physical health or political longevity. There's only one secret: correct yourself, self-correct, self-reflection, and then self-correction. If anyone possesses that ability, then they're invincible. So that's why I changed my program last minute last night. I think it's worth it. I can always talk to you about the Trump Xi Jinping phone call, but I think at this point, I don't care if views are high or low or how many people will watch it. I need to say this because it's my responsibility, and there aren't that many people who say it. I should tell you that 1 year ago, I may not have the courage to say it out aloud. But after seeing enough miseries, I can no longer treat it just as a subject of my study and a topic anymore. All right, so that's what I have for you. Okay, let's see what people say. Silence. Silence on the ground. Well, it's good to do our programs in the morning during the day. I feel more energetic. Maybe we should do more Sunday sessions. What do you think? Well, this allows people in Europe to be able to join us. All right. Juno Garnett. Well, thank you, Juno. Juno? Is that French? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Paul Keenan. Hi, Lei. Finally caught you live. Love your videos. You are amazing work. You're so very beautiful. Okay, thank you so much. Although I don't feel that way because the past 20, actually, this program took me almost a week to make because I have been watching so many videos about this actor's death, like day and night. I resisted making it because it's so grotesque and it's so mentally disturbing to talk about it. I know I've been avoiding it, but I spent so much time gathering information. And yesterday's, I think it was actually a few hours before the live stream, I said, I need to do this. There's no way you can walk away from this responsibility and pretend this didn't happen and just talk about Xi Jinping Trump's phone call. Although I could talk about it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, here's a question. Question for Lei from Robbie. Do you believe the CCP will collapse once Xi Jinping is removed from power? I believe it will. It may not happen overnight. It may happen. I think the CCP will collapse, and then there will be a transition period for China to come together as a nation to transition into the next stage. There will be tremendous changes socially and politically. I think it may take some time. It could be as long as months, if not years. I think no more than 2 years. But it's good. It's a good process because it's ultimately it's going to be a decision made by the Chinese elites, those who have the power and then the influence, and also the average citizen, what kind of China they want, right? So they will have to come together to chart their path forward. It will be their chance. I mean, how many people are given the chance in their lifetime to decide the future of your country? I mean, we're all given that opportunity now, whether in China or in the West, right? So I think it's a tremendous opportunity or responsibility given to us, and we should take that responsibility well. And this is happening. This is unprecedented because it's happening on a global level. In the past, it's only regional, right? China went through a dynastic change, and then you see that happening in Europe or some parts of the world. But never before has the entire world going through some transformation at the same time, and they're all interconnected. That's why it's unprecedented. I think everyone has to make a decision for themselves, what kind of future they want for themselves and for their children and for their country. So we all have a responsibility. But I believe the best way to bring out a positive change, a benign change, is to start the change from ourselves, do self-reflection. And we cannot always blame on others. We could notice the problems exist outside of ourselves. I think the most powerful transformation starts with ourselves. That's what I firmly believe in. And if people can truly practice that, they will discover longevity and good health. So that's the best kept secret of 5,000 years of Chinese civilization. The question is, how do you practice it? All right. Maybe we can make a program about that. I just gave me an idea of a program for Lace Looking Glass. How to achieve longevity. All right, Elaine Lund, thank you for your courageous and informative reporting. Well, thank you. MLB, thank you. MLB. Okay, let's see. All right, well, yeah, somebody said 地狱空荡荡，魔鬼在人间. It's very poetic, but in English it means the hell lies empty as its demons are all among us, are walking the earth. It's a scary thought. Okay, well, thank you very much. Let me see. I want to acknowledge all the here's Yao Hao. Freedom is a flower, and the true should be its gardener. Well said. Well, thank you. Thank you for the words of wisdom. Lei, talk about TikTok next week. I did that last week. I do not believe the TikTok deal will come through. If you read, okay, here, let me talk about the Xi Jinping Trump call. If you study what Trump said and what Xi Jinping, what the Xinhua said, okay, the Xinhua, I mean, absolutely, Xi Jinping lowered his posture. First of all, he didn't. Xinhua didn't say that this phone call took place at request of the Americans. And secondly, it didn't mention Taiwan at all. And thirdly, it said it addressed Trump's criticism about the Chinese not acknowledging the role Americans played during World War II. So the Chinese addressed that. But if you read Xinhua's statement, it says that the Chinese government does not, or the Chinese government supports private businesses' transaction with Americans as long as they're compliant with Chinese laws. Now, that phrase worries me. You know, anything that's in compliance with the Chinese law carries a security risk for the Americans. So, to me, there's still a lot of details to be ironed out. I'm not 100% convinced that the TikTok deal will come through. Let's see what happens. Paul Keenan, Lade, you do amazing work and should be proud of yourself. Well, thank you. Your encouragement means a lot to me. They make me proud. At Caleb Lay, do you know anything about Myanmar junta passed its internet control to CCP under the name of implementing Great Firewall? Yes, I do that. Recently, there's a document leaked. There was like 50 gig or 500 gig. It was a gigantic amount of source code being leaked by a Chinese internet company who was started by one of the person spearheading the internet police function. But anyway, people study the source code, and then they, not just the source code, there are also like meeting minutes, internal documents that were all leaked with the bundle. And they found out that countries like Myanmar, like Pakistan or Cambodia, spent money, bought China's online censors. China has built these massive technology to help countries censor the internet. And these countries have bought China's technology. So I'm not surprised at all, like Myanmar and Cambodia and other countries. What was the other country? Some South Asian countries that inherit the CCP's censors in their country. All right. Here's one. Walter Smeckens, hugs from the Netherlands. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. Brazil too. Somebody said Brazil. Kazakhstan. Yes. Yeah. Kazakhstan was actually identified in that country. And there's a country that was not identified. It started with a code A, letter A. So we don't know what country. What was it? Africa? South Africa? Or, yeah. But Kazakhstan, Brazil, yeah. Nepal, yes. Yep. Thank you. Ken Cao. Well, thank you, Ken, for the super sticker. So, yeah. All right. Well, I thank you for joining me on your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll be back. I'll be back talking about the Xiangshan Security Forum and possibly the Trump-Xi phone call and other issues. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all the super stickers, and thank you for your support. Stay well. Bye.